Well, all right. Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see you. If you don't know, I'm Matt Greco, the events manager here at PSS Life University. And as you know, today we're having a presentation on the do's and don'ts of dating over 50, brought to us by dating expert and coach Laurie Gerber. Laurie is an expert in the field of life and relationship coaching with over 20 years of experience coaching thousands of individuals and couples.
Thanks, Matt. That was concise and to the point and brief. Thank you. We need all our time, folks, because we are going to cover a lot of do's and don'ts. If you are the kind of person, if you're like most people, actually, you won't remember most of what I say. So I do recommend that if you can take notes on a phone or an iPad or a notebook and pen would work great. You will want to take notes. You will want to come back to this. You will want to chew on it over time. It is not the kind of thing that's just instant, or nor can you remember the quantity of things I'm going to tell you today. So definitely take notes if you possibly can. Also, if you have questions along the way, I sometimes can take questions while I'm going and want to, and sometimes they're better to be done at the end. So either way, if you have a question and you can get to the chat box, write it into the chat box. Matt has said that he will monitor that, collect them, and let me know what the questions are as we go. Obviously, I have more information than I could possibly relay to you in an hour, but if it doesn't meet you where you are with the problems that you're currently having and the concerns that you bring to this table about dating over 50, what's the point? So please do get your needs met by putting your questions into the chat. All right, get comfortable. Let's do this. Me, just very briefly, I've been doing this for a very long time. Matt gave me a great introduction. I've been on TV, I've been on radio, I've done a TEDx talk, I've guested on thousands of podcasts. I've led I don't know, maybe not thousands, probably somewhere between 400 and 700 webinars like this. I used to do this for Match.com, Zeus, JDate, lots of other organizations working with singles, as well as all different life coaching topics. I am an expert in something called the Handel Method. It is a very specific method of coaching that worked tremendously well on me, and that's why I love it, and that's why I teach it. And I'm going to reveal a piece of the Handel method to you a little bit later on in this webinar called the 3H method, which is an incredibly useful and valuable method. And you're going to be able to use it for your dating and for everything else. But I'm just telling you all of this background and all the sort of the writing and leading and teaching and coaching I've done to just let you know that I've done my homework. I know what I'm talking about. If your struggle is in finding and keeping healthy love, I am your person to coach you, and I'm going to try to jam as much coaching into this next hour as I possibly can. I would like you right now, if you can get yourself to the chat, to write in your biggest issue when it comes to love and dating currently. I do kind of want to know what is the biggest issue you are dealing with love and dating? If it's possible to relay that to someone who is near the chat, or if you are near the chat, write that in. I can tell you one thing I have encountered while you think about that, which is that a lot of people think they can do dating like they do certain other things, which is learn by doing. A lot of things work really well learn by doing, actually. I believe in it as a educational method. And, like speaking a new language, you absolutely have to learn that by doing it. You can't learn it just by thinking about it or reading about it or playing a new instrument, right? That's a learn by doing kind of thing. But learning by trial and error when it comes to dating, not a good idea. And that is because it is so exhausting. There are so many easy mistakes you can make that lead to disappointment, heartbreak, disillusionment, cynicism, and wanting to give up, that it's just one of those areas that I do not think that somebody should be learning by doing. I do not believe in the throw you into the pool method and see if you can swim method. I believe in the give lessons in the shallow end, build your skills, practice your skills, and then go in the deep end. So that's really where I come from in developing all these tools and methods and strategies that I'm going to lay out for you today. The trial and error is good in some areas, but too steep a learning curve when it comes to dating. Okay. The first point I want to make and get us all on the same page with is that the dating journey is in your control. And I think sometimes we can feel like it is not in our control, like it's all about what other people think of us versus in our control. So the first thing I want to do is put the steering wheel back in your hand. I want you to understand that if something's in the way of you finding love, and according to me, there's 34 things it could be, because I've studied this and I made a list. There's 34 things that could be preventing you from finding healthy, lasting love. But the good news is that you are the person who can solve it. You are the one holding you back if you have not yet done that. And that might sound like bad news, but I think it's really good news because you are the one you can control. So hopefully this makes sense. If this makes sense, please give a thumbs up. And in the meantime, Matt, has anybody written in what their issues are? Is that something you could share with me?
Yes, we have a comment or two here. One says insecurities.
Okay, great. Thank you, whoever shared that. Breakthrough already. If there's anybody else who can get themselves to a chat, I'm going to want to know what other issues people are dealing with because, again, then I can address them more directly in my comments. Cool? Okay.
Well, I put one in
Anything
here
else, Matt?
that say trust.
Perfect. Okay. Those are both on the list of 34. You guys nailed it. Does anybody want to take a guess what some of the other things might be?
Oh, we have another one. Allowing others to take the lead.
Yes. Beautiful. I'm not good at that either. I once took ballroom dancing with my husband and we nearly came to blows. I was so not good at letting him take the lead. Okay, speaking of my journey, let me tell you a little bit about my journey, and it'll begin to sort of reveal also why I'm so passionate about what I do. So I have been with my husband for many years, almost 30 years now, actually. And I have to harken back a long way. But before I met him, I had many bad relationships. I approached dating like a game, and the game was conquest, what I could not have. I was more interested in proving that love was a struggle than actually finding love. So I would pick someone that I thought was super hot and absolutely not intellectually appropriate for me, or that into me, get rejected by that person, and then smarting from that rejection, I would flip it completely the other way, and I would pick a guy that I wasn't that attracted to, but that looked good on paper, get bored so quickly that I would leave us both with whiplash. I would get out of that so fast. And then I'd just go back and forth, hurting and being hurt until I was exhausted. Then I realized, I remember the very day I realized that it was me manifesting all of those negative results. And I don't regret any of it. I learned so much from all of those experiences, but I was tired and I was actually ready. Sorry, I have to put on glasses. I just realized every time I look at my notes, they're just a blurry mess. Luckily, I know what I'm saying. Anyway, I was so exhausted that it just wasn't working anymore. So I decided that if I could get myself into the mess, if I took my past experiences and learned from them, then I could also get myself out of the mess. And that if everything I was doing was having me believe what I believed about love not being possible, then I also could use that to explain why I now could believe in love if I would do it differently. So I took a very serious inventory of a bunch of things. I took an inventory of what my parents had taught me about love. I took an inventory of all my shenanigans in my dating history, which was surprisingly long for how young I was. I grew up in New York City. And I decided to do something different. I decided to look for something different. I decided to operate differently in my dating life. And it was a real turning point. I also decided that the next likely person who met my criteria, I was going to make it work no matter what. And that mindset shift, right? All of those new decisions I made, I think that's what makes it possible to meet the right match. In fact, I think that's what makes it possible to even see the right match in front of you, to even notice who might be there around you that is appropriate for you. It's almost like you're blocked or the right choices are invisible to you until you get clear on your past shenanigans and on what you want for your future very, very clearly. And very soon after that mindset shift, I mean, I want to say even that very day, I met the man who became my husband. And here's what was different about this guy. We matched well in intellect, in values, in background. We wanted the same things. We admired each other. When I looked at his dreams and I looked at my dreams, they were compatible. They didn't mutually exclude one another, and we were attracted to each other. So finally, I had picked well. And because I picked well, this is another important theory, because I picked well and we were a good match, he picked me back. So making that choice to take full responsibility for my past shenanigans and my future, that was a critical moment. I stopped blaming my parents. I stopped blaming my exes. I stopped blaming myself. I stood fully in my own power, my own voice. I forgave myself for anything I wasn't proud of, and there were some things. And then I made the choice to look soberly at my family of origin and everything I got from them and my past relationships and declare that none of that was a determinant of what was possible for my future. The same thing is true for you. None of your past is a determinant of what is possible for your future. Please amen that out loud or in the chat if you agree. If you do not agree, you're welcome to send me a question or a comment. So, do you even believe in love? Because the mindset is what's important. If you've been having bad luck or bad strategy and not having a good time in dating, you might not even believe in love. For me, yay! For me, there was a click that happened where I was like, oh, I'm the one ruining my love life. I'm the one who can fix it. Now I believe in love again. Now I'm going to look for the thing that I want. So, what about you? Do you believe in love? If you believe in love, why? If you don't believe in love, why? Like, I want to know. If you're brave, write it into the chat and maybe Matt will share your answers because this is the underlying foundation to everything else. I can teach you great strategies, tools, and tips, and I have them coming out the wazoo. But if you don't believe in love, you will continue to prove that love is not possible for you. I hope this makes sense. I do. My parents were madly in love and it was evident. Awesome. Love that. Anyone else believe in love or don't believe in love? I know this is hard because not everybody has access to the chat, but please take notes for yourself if you're not writing in to the public chat. All right, I'm barreling on ahead because we have a lot to cover. Okay. If you don't believe in love, even if you're not admitting it, I would like you to inspect a few things. Could it be your past history with love? Could it be some dissatisfaction you have with yourself? I have coached many clients who have some dissatisfaction with a habit of theirs, a life issue, a housing issue, a money issue, a career issue, a nose issue, a STD issue, like all kinds of issues that prevent them from finding love when even other people with that same condition or issue have. Is it a negative belief? Can't trust people. Don't know how to pick right. Is it your lineage? Are you repeating some issue your mother, father, or person who raised you had? Are you haunted by something, a past love, a past breakup, something that happened to you in your childhood? All of these things come from my list of 34 obstacles. If you have any one or more of these, you are not alone. This is the list that everybody has. Okay, if you're brave, you can share what you have in the chat. But even if you're not ready to share any of that publicly, please make sure you start to write your list because part of the work to be ready to date like you mean it is to do this work. Good news, good news, good news. Here's hope, AKA here's hope. If you are not happy with yourself, you can start changing that today, literally today. You can start an exercise routine today. You can quit a bad habit today. You can start drinking more water today. You can start talking to yourself nicely in the mirror today. Every great new habit, every breakthrough starts right now, always, every time, right now. So do not ever think it can't be today. I'll say that again tomorrow. If you are still not over someone, there is something I help my clients do called a love detox. And this is really important. You can find me through my website, lauriegerber.com, if you need to know more about this. If there is someone holding the spot of love of your life, whether that person has rejected you, has treated you badly, has chosen someone else, is dead, if there's someone is inappropriate for you in some other way, if there's someone in the spot, this is a sort of spiritual principle, the opening is not there for someone else to come in. Okay. So if you have not thoroughly detoxed, cleansed, freed up the position, it is almost impossible to bring an appropriate person into the job. So my coaching to someone who is not over something in their past relationships is to go through the love detox, which has to do with a certain amount of time, just like with a drug detox, where you're not in contact, where you're not re-triggering yourself and re-traumatizing yourself. If you're still harboring negative beliefs, you can change them. Those change every day. If your lineage does not set a good example for you, you can, in honor of your lineage that did the best they could, you can break your lineage. And if you're still haunted by your past, there is hope. There is more you can do about that as well. So none of these things are helpless or hopeless. And now I want to drill down even deeper to the negative beliefs that I hear people say, because they're just not true, but everyone says them. Okay, so I'm going to basically give you, I normally coach people for $650 an hour. And this is exactly what I say. I'm giving it to you guys, write it down. This is gold. And this is to the most common objections, most common negative beliefs that I hear. They don't exist. The right match for me doesn't exist. That is what I hear so often. I'm so sorry if you have that one. It is brutal. And let me tell you, if you exist, they exist. It doesn't make any sense that you would exist and they don't exist, right? They didn't make any screws for which there were no bolts, right? Like it's just not the way it works. If you exist, they exist. I'm not saying it's easy to find your person, but if you exist, they exist, period. You're not perfect. They're not perfect. If you think you're perfect, you're wrong. If you think you're going to find someone perfect, you're wrong. But if you understand your imperfections and you're willing to meet with someone who has imperfections that you don't mind, you can find your person. Okay, we harp way too much on what we think is wrong with us or wrong with other people and forget the fact that we're all human and we prefer to be partnered up than alone, most of us. It isn't geography. Everyone from everywhere in the world, from the smallest little cities and towns and islands to the biggest metropolises, thinks their geography is what is in the way of finding love. That is never the case. I don't have time to tell you why not. You're just going to have to trust me. People fall in love all over the world. People move for love. People have successful long distance relationships. It's just your fear talking if you're saying geography is the reason. There are no good ones. Oh my gosh. Strike that from the record. There are no good ones. Well, we might as well all just, I don't want to say what that would imply. Okay, that is too mean. I have to believe that if you're here and you're listening to this conversation and you exist, they exist. We are not the only good ones in the world. And new ones are becoming available every day because of death, divorce, breakups, and even just personal growth. New people are becoming available, truly available, not just physically, but emotionally available and ready every single day. So even if yesterday there was really no good one, today there is one, okay? Because they just ended their grieving period of their loved one, or they just finalized their divorce, or they just had enough therapy to feel better, okay? Hi, Jean. I see your actual face. Nice to see you. Okay. You can build trust in your picker with practice. So she didn't want to be seen. Okay, but it was nice to see you anyway. All right, so you can build trust in your picker with practice. So if you don't trust your picker anymore because you picked badly for 100 years, I don't care if you picked badly for 100 years. I don't care. Okay? We didn't have a black president either for a long time, and then we did. Okay, so human beings can evolve. So if you don't trust your picker, that's okay. You can change your picker, and the more you pick differently, the more you will trust it, and then that will become your new habit. These are all obvious things, but I think they need to be said out loud because we don't we don't remember them. We don't think them. We think negatively. And that's just human nature, nothing personal to you. Online dating can be fruitful, but not without a strategy. So again, please don't just do it willy-nilly. You'll get exhausted and overwhelmed. But with a strategy, which I'm going to give you a little hint about, it can be fruitful. And your belief, of course, matters. To come back to what I said before, your belief matters. It matters more than anything. Okay, I'm going to pause for questions, actually, just because I've just loaded you with so much mindset information and so many thoughts and feelings. I just do want to pause and see if you have a question, get it into the chat or unmute yourself. Anything anyone wants to say. Otherwise, I'm getting into some don'ts. Yeah. These are the things I want you to believe. And now I'm gonna get into don'ts if I don't hear any questions or comments. Everyone's so quiet. Are you digesting?
Well, I've got a question. You mentioned like giving up that person in the past. Um, do you ever get like, well, I don't really want to give them up?
Yeah, but then the position is filled. So you can't expect to. By the way, I don't know if I would use the word give up. I might say let go and detox. Now, we all know from the example of alcohol or caffeine or drugs that while you're still while it's still in your system, you just want it, right? Like there's no it's an addiction, right? You can be addicted to a person. So it is very hard to let go of something while it's still in your system. It Any sober person will tell you the longer you practice sobriety, the easier it is. Doesn't mean you can't fall back at any moment, but it does get easier because your body acclimates to not having it in the system. It's the same thing with love. And so it's that thought like I don't want to let them go that makes you keep coming back for little hits, little dips in, but unfortunately then that makes the detox impossible and you won't feel better. So I'm in the business of helping people feel better and get their dreams. So if you want that, you have to do the detox. But yes, a lot of people come back to me and go, I don't want to. Can I have someone in the position and also try to get someone else into the position? I'm like, doesn't really work very well, but I get it. I get why you want to. Did that answer that?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
The chat is very quiet. I'm barreling on y'all, and we'll at this rate we may have time for questions at the end. Okay, great. Okay, my first don't sell out on what you really want. I'm sure you've tried that already and you already know how it goes. Not that good. Okay, so don't sell out on what you really want. Now, in order to come to be true to that don't, you have to know what you want. And I think when I say know what you want, a lot of people just think attractive, right? Like we literally don't know what we want. We just like we have a picture in our head probably from childhood about what we want, right? And we don't really think head, heart, and hoo-ha, what do we want? So this is the big reveal of the 3H concept taught by the Handel Method. The 3H's stands for head, heart, and hoo-ha. And hoo-ha is the chemistry or the attraction. Match.com didn't like hoo-ha, so they called it the heat. So the head, heart, and the heat. So these are the three voices inside of every human that have needs when it comes to your romantic relationship. Now, when I work with clients, we spend a lot of time on discerning exactly what the criteria are for you, because everyone's different for your head, your heart, and your hoo-ha. You deserve to spend time on this too. So I'm going to give you snapshots. You could take a screenshot. You could take notes. You're going to want to think about this afterwards because it's going to go too fast. Also, if you do my free webinar, you will get all of these slides again to really take some more time and really come up with your own 3H criteria. But for today, I'm going to introduce you to it. I'm going to walk you through it. And as we go, you should jot down anything that resonates with you about what you deeply, truly, really want. And I just want to make a note right now because, again, I think people, when they say like, well, what do you want? We think of an image pops in our heads, right? And really what I want to start to have you do is think, how do I want to feel? What's most important to me? And why is that important to me? I really want you to be thinking deeper about it because I remember if you would have asked me before I found my husband, what do I want? The list I would have said is not, some of it was what my husband is, but some of it really wasn't. It was like, it was almost, I can't think of the word. It's like a token or a proxy or like a cliche of what I thought I wanted. I thought this would get me that, but it wasn't true. So it's really a deep practice to ask yourself, what do I really care about? And anything you don't really care about, please don't put it on the list because the shorter your list, the wider your pool of people to choose from. However, if something is really true for you, you do have to put it on the list. Like if you really need someone who's your same religion, because that's so important to you and it's so integral to how you lead your life, then that's really important to you, right? It's so funny. For me, it was really important to me not to live with cats because I'm allergic to them. And I grew up with a cat and I was allergic the whole time. Well, my husband agreed no cats. And for 20 years, we lived with no cats. And now we have cats. And my face is so itchy right now. I can barely handle it. So again, my point in raising that is like, you might change, right? You might change over time, but if there's something that's really true for you in this given moment, you have to be honest about it. And I encourage you not to say things like they have to make X amount of money or be this amount educated or have this kind of place to live. I urge you to say what's actually important to you. Like, we're able to see each other twice a week, or we can go on 2 vacations a year, or we get along well with each other's families, right? Like, don't say the route, say the destination. What's the destination you want to get to, not how exactly does that person have to show up? Because again, the more open-minded you are, the bigger the pool of people that you can find kinship with, while still being, if you're like, well, I can't be with an alcoholic because I'm an alcoholic, right? And I want to be in recovery. I need to be with someone who's um not doesn't have that issue, or maybe you need to be with someone who does have that issue, right? So it really, really depends on who you are, what your head says is workable for your life. So head criteria are about what's practical, what makes your life work, what's sensible, what looks good on paper. Intellectual compatibility would be in head, where you're going to live, how you're going to live. Are you compatible with how you want to eat or run a household, those kinds of things. Heart has to do with how you feel. Okay, so this one's a little more difficult to pin down. So you would want to say, I feel safe, or we communicate effectively when we have issues, or we both want to resolve arguments before we go to sleep, or if you have a love of some sport, like you have to watch football every Sunday, it could be that, right? Like that could be either like watches with me or doesn't get mad when I do, right? Like anything can show up on the heart list that's really important to how you feel, including my dreams and the other person's dreams don't conflict, right? Our dreams intersect and enmesh well. That's one that could be heart. Um, how they show up for their family or how they're going to show up for your family could be a matter of the heart. So just jot down a few ideas for your heart, and then we go to hoo-ha. So hoo-ha is about attraction and chemistry. And I want to say again, a lot of people put way too much emphasis on chemistry. Like if you're attracted, you just bypass all head criteria, and even heart criteria. Like you don't even have to trust the person. They don't work for your life and you don't trust them, but they're hot and you're having good sex. Okay. And other people do the exact opposite. And some people like me go back and forth and to like swing one way and then swing the other way to compensate. So hoo-ha is a real bugaboo for people and really needs to be held in balance. The problem is people give too much weight to one H over the other rather than holding them all in balance and giving them all an equal full vote. Okay? So, what is hoo-ha? Hoo-ha isn't just height, weight, hair color, eye color, body type. No. I mean, we think that's what hoo-ha is, but it's really not. It's really how we feel in their presence. Are we attracted? Do we want to kiss them? You could have a height or an age or a weight thing, but only if you really have it, right? Only if you really do. It's things like swagger, sex appeal, how someone smells, how you feel in their arms. Are they willing to talk about sex? Do they like the same things in bed that you like? Are they open to the same things you are? So those are the kinds of things that show up on the hoo-ha list. And your homework is to come up with your 5 to 10 things in each of the H categories to really crystallize what you want so you don't sell out. And then to make bold any deal breaker, right? Anything that is, so some of these are nice to have, some of these are must have. Okay. Like living in New York City was a must have for me. No cats apparently was a nice to have, not a must have. I thought it was a must have, but it was a nice to have. So must haves are put in bold. And so then a chart ends up looking like this. So you have your head list, your heart list, and your hoo-ha list, and you'll see up for regular sex and affectionate, likes kissing, likes touching is bolded because it's a must have. Okay. And then as we date, we color code. because according to my methodology, you only get 3 dates to determine if someone is an 8 or above on a scale of 1 to 10 in all 3 H's. So you have to be paying very close attention to these criteria. So when something is a yes, it's green. When something's a no, it's red. When something's an I don't know, it's yellow. And your goal is to get everything red and green by the end of 3 dates so that you truly know if the person's a match before you get too attached. I'm going to pause. Questions? This is a lot to take in. This is a whole nerdy system,
Okay,
but it works.
I have a question. One,
Yes.
maybe the only thing I remember from college was a Psych 101 class where the professor said the main thing that people get together is because they're attracted to each other.
Right.
And does that change? You know, that's when you're 20, but what about when you're 50 and over?
I will say, I think it can change, and I am a huge proponent in being able to change your type. But chemistry and attraction should always be important, in my opinion, because your love relationship, the only difference your love relationship has from your friendships is the hoo-ha, is the sex. So I am not a proponent of selling out on the hoo-ha or subjugating the hoo-ha. What I am a proponent of is bringing into equal balance all 3 H's, giving them each an equal voice. You could have hoo-ha at a 10 and head at an 8, but you can't have head at a 3 on a scale of 1 to 10 and expect that it's going to work out. And that's what people do who sell out for hoo-ha. So yes, as we age, hoo-ha still matters, probably less when we're less like, you know, we just naturally, our libidos change as we age, um, but I would say it still matters and should matter. It just shouldn't outweigh the others. Does that answer that?
Yes, very well. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Awesome. Anybody else have any questions to put in the chat or unmute? I'm looking in the chat. I'm pausing for as long as I know how. All right, we are going to have time for questions, I think. This is great. If you don't ask them now. Okay, going once, going twice. It seems like you're interviewing. Great. Thank you for bringing that up. So, on an actual here, let me actually go to the next slide. That's a great segue. Okay. So, what I do with my clients is once we know the criteria, we make a list of questions, right? To your point about interviewing, we make a list of questions. But the main questions you have to ask are to yourself. Okay. The most important questions you have to ask are to yourself. Do I want to kiss this person? Do I want to look at this face? Do our dreams intersect well? Am I intrigued and interested? Right? Like those are do I feel safe? Do I feel trusting? So the most important person to ask questions to and to trust your answers and listen to is you. Okay? That's number one. Number two, yes, you are interviewing the person in a way. It shouldn't feel like an interview if you design your questions well. And if at least half the time you start with your own answer to the question you want to ask, then it sounds like a conversation, not an interview. However, if you're looking for your soulmate and they are looking for theirs, okay, so let's suppose if you're looking for your soulmate and they're looking for a fling, this won't work. If you're looking for a fling and they're looking for a soulmate, this won't work. But if you're looking for your soulmate, they're looking for your soulmate, their soulmate, and you're attracted, but you're not going to have sex because you're waiting, then questions and answers do not feel like an interview. They feel like a delightful getting to know you. If you're not attracted, it could feel like an interview and annoying. If you're not looking for your soulmate, it could be like, when am I getting into the bed? Okay, but if each of you is looking for the soulmate and you're attracted to each other, but you're not going to have sex, the conversation is actually foreplay, right? Is actually exactly what's wanted and needed for both of you to get to know each other to see if you are a match or not. So yes, dating is collecting data on that person. Yes, you will have to ask questions. Specifically, we design questions that are essay questions, not yes or no questions, not leading the witness, not where do you see yourself in 5 years? It's like you actually need a creative list of questions that goes with your 3H criteria because you will be vetting your candidates according to your 3H criteria and using your list of, I call it Sparks questions. Okay. And you only have, according to me, 3 dates, right? Because you do not, once you go on a fourth, fifth, sixth date, now you're falling for them. Now you want to have sex with them. Now You've invested, you want your investment to turn out. No, no, no. You get 3 dates to get all your 3H questions answered and your criteria determined. And then you lovingly and kindly say goodbye if your ratings are going down or they never get above an 8. Okay? This is how you avoid dating fatigue. Do tell your friends what's on your list so they can hold you to account. It is not, it's just like sobriety, right? Try doing it alone, right? It does not work. You need your team. You need your support. It's team sport, I say, right? You got to get your support. This is why with my digital program, we have group coaching. We have our Facebook group. It's the same reason why you're in Life University, right? You need community. You need support. You need your friends around you holding you to account for what you said you wanted and reminding you you deserve it. 8 isn't good. No, 8 is good enough. 8 or above on all three.
Okay.
7, like you wouldn't even go on a first date if they weren't over a 6, right? Like if anything's under a 6, you're not even, like you can find that out online. You can find that out texting, video chatting. You don't need to even go on a date. Dates are to get from a 6 to an 8. Head, heart, and hoo-ha. Okay? Whew. Great question. Okay. Ready for one more don't? These are all do's. Do create your questions based on your 3H list. Do vet your candidates according to the list. Do limit the number of dates you're willing to have. If someone doesn't meet your criteria, do tell your friends what's on your list so they can hold you to account. And do treat dating as a team sport and get support. Don't skip safety protocols, please. It's true. There are scams out there. It's true. You're not imagining it. I'm sorry. There are wonderful, great human beings out there, and there are also jokes. Okay, so we have to be smarter than they are. We have to be one step ahead. So if it smells fishy, it's fishy. If it's too much, it's fishy. If someone's asking for money, it's too fishy. If someone's got a sad, sad sob story they're laying on you, that's fishy. So if it smells fishy, it's probably fishy. Don't give out any personal information. I always say have a video date first. Find that person on the internet. Find some proof of their existence and who they are. Uh, More for women than for men, honestly. Sorry, but there are scams for men too. Truly, there are scams for both. So you need to really, really check and feel comfortable and trust your instincts and your intuition. And if somebody makes fun of you, doesn't like you, gives you negative feedback for being concerned for your safety if they're a stranger, that person's not the love of your life. They could be a scammer, but they're not the love of your life also. I always recommend being in public for the first 3 dates, both for safety reasons and because I don't want you having sex on the first 3 dates. I want you getting to know the person. And if you're going to drink, one at the very most, but I would tell you don't drink at all. It's the best for being obviously conscious, present, and on your agenda. And then you got to also watch your drinks. I hate that that's true, but you got to keep your eye on your drinks at all times. And if you're going to have sex with someone, and of course I could do a whole seminar on when that would be a good time to do, either see a currently dated STD test if you care, or go get tested together. That's the only way you're going to have any idea of what is on someone's STD test, because I would say most people who know they have STDs don't like to disclose it. Let's put it that way. They don't like to, and some of them don't. So if you want to be absolutely sure, you would ask. And if you're the one who has the STD, I would suggest you get your spiel down for how you talk about it. And it doesn't mean you can't find love, by the way. Just need to say that. Okay, final don'ts. Do not get spooked by lying, ghosting, or the hard work that dating is. Okay, because lying is happening. I did a whole TEDx talk on it. Most human beings lie 11 times a day. It's very popular. We don't even know we're doing it. We don't even mean to do it. Good people lie all the time. So that doesn't mean humans are hopeless. It just means we have to be committed to telling the truth in our own lives and making it safe for other people to do the same. Ghosting happens. You cannot take it personally. It's the nature of this weird internet system we have now, where we have this enormous amount of choice and feel that it's endless. I can, give more tips on how to avoid it and how to conduct yourself when it happens, but suffice to say, I don't want you to get spooked by it. I don't want you to get it spooked by ghosting. That's funny. Okay. I don't want you to get demoralized or take it personally. And I also don't want you to think that the fact that finding love is hard is a problem, because it's the most important thing. And it's hard. It is hard. You don't know a lot of people who did it easily, found the love of their life and kept it healthy and lasting. For me, I do have the love of my life and it's healthy and lasting, and it took everything. It took a lot. And I had really good parental role models. So it's honest work, but it's worth it, I think, because it's the most important thing. So hard work, but worth it. And don't do it alone. Get the support you need. If you can't afford a coach, or you then get into one of these Facebook online groups, or create your own group, or at least have a buddy. Like, just don't do it alone. There's no need to do it alone. It's better with support, and you have to train people to support you properly, right? So support isn't sharing awful stories, right? Or like agreeing on how awful and hard it is and there's nobody, right? Support is reminding you of your dream, reminding you of your standards, going to events with you, going out on the town with you. That's what support looks like. So, in conclusion, anything worthwhile takes effort. Let go of resentment that it's work. Just like in life, in any area, there will be obstacles and challenges, but you will learn so much by doing this instead of sitting on the bench scared, and you will come out a better person, because all the skills you learn in dating are also life skills. And in the end, you will, if you don't give up, you will find your suitable companion with whom to enjoy life's adventures. And don't give up, because it's the most important thing, is my final pep talk. Okay. Let's see here. If you want to find out more, I recommend my newsletter, my quiz, and my free webinar. Again, free things. Why not? LaurieGerber.com. It's up here on the screen. It's also in the chat. What else? Oh, social media. If you like social media, I'm on Instagram. I am constantly posting content about dating over 50 on social media, as well as my personal life, but it is generally geared towards women. If you're not a woman, you should still listen. I actually think it's beneficial to listen to what I'm saying to women if you're not a woman, but everybody's welcome. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and you could just take a snapshot of this if you like, but Laurie Gerber _coach is the main way to find me. And yeah, keep in touch, lauriegerber.com. And appreciate your listening, and hope that you will now come up with questions for me, because we actually do have time. Oh, look at this. We do have a question, but I want to give you just a moment. I know I talk nonstop, so I just want to be quiet for one more moment and see if anyone else has questions. I will answer the one that's already in here. But you are welcome to unmute or write in a question on the chat. Okay. Going once. Going twice. Yay, another one came in. Going through. Okay, great. Okay, fabulous. This will keep us busy. Okay, fabulous. Okay. So once you find lasting love, what is your advice on how to sustain it? Okay. So head, heart, and hoo-ha. Remember? You got head, heart, and hoo-ha. The way you sustain hoo-ha is you keep having sex. Okay, I know that sounds so obvious, but I didn't understand that. And that is how I got myself into a near divorce experience. So that is one, so you just make an agreement with yourself that you're not going to quit, no matter what your mood is, no matter how tired you are, no matter what else. It is the cornerstone of a romantic relationship. So you just don't stop. I made that rule for myself 20 years ago. I've never gone back on it, and it has served me so incredibly well, I can't tell you. So how you sustain romantic love is you sustain your sex life. That's number one. Number two, you create rituals around everything that's important to you. So for me in my relationship, communication is really important, both logistical communication, but also emotional communication, because the emotional communication bonds us to each other, and the logistical, it's head and heart, right? The logistical communication makes our lives work together, right? So my husband and I have an emotional conversation every morning and a logistical conversation every night. We have rituals around it. We have timing, we have structure, we have questions and answers. And that's how we sustain positivity and workability, even just in our head and our heart areas. And our emotional communication is really just that. Like we call it a feelings party. We just talk about our feelings. And it's not fixing, it's not coaching, it's not logistics, it's just literally the state of how we are in that morning. So we do that every morning actually on a jog in the woods, which is awesome. So it's also exercise and it's also nature. So that's two pretty simple answers to how you sustain lasting healthy love. Great question. What about personality types, opposite attracts, that kinds of things? So yes, that's why it's so important to write your 3H criteria, is because people think it's simple, like, oh, I want someone like me. And I often read people's profiles and I'm like, what, are you sure? Like, are you sure this is what you want? Because it sounds like you want either another you, or like a 55-year-old woman is looking for her 55-year-old woman best friend, which is fine, but that's not necessarily what a male-female relationship can be. So I really do think opposites can attract, but it's not a perfect science. It's very individual. Like my husband and I have so many things in common. We both feel very strongly about social justice. We both really believe in public school. We both don't care about superficial things, but we are totally different in how we communicate and process information and make decisions, like totally different. So are we the same or are we different, right? It's not that simple. You have to actually drill down on what you care about the most. And then the rest can just be a fun surprise. Like, you know, if you're open-minded and you don't care what kind of food they like or what kind of sex they like or what kind of job they have, then great. It can be a grab bag, right? But the things you do care about, you have to be clear about. Are there any specific dating apps you would recommend for people over 50? This is a very hot topic. And I have a whole blog about it on lauriegerber.com and a whole 36-page ebook in my digital course that explains how to pick the right dating site for you, because different dating sites are different, right? There's apps that you can only use on your phone. There's ones you can use on your computer. There's ones where the woman chooses. There's ones that have video interfaces. There's so many features to consider in choosing your dating app that I would not prescribe any specific one to people over 50. That being said, especially for New Yorkers, and I think a lot of you are New Yorkers, I would recommend Match, Hinge, Bumble, and Coffee Meets Bagel. Yeah. And of course, there are sites that cater to 50 plus, but it's not necessary to use them. It can be fun to use them, but it's not necessary to use them when the biggest ones with the biggest populations have plenty of people over 50 in them. Great question. What if you don't have money for dates? Great question. It's still the common practice that the man asks the woman on the first date and pays for it. So I don't know what gender this is coming from. A date doesn't have to be money. In fact, I would like all your first dates to be a Zoom call, which if you already have Zoom doesn't cost you anything, or a FaceTime call, or a call within the video chat that you're doing. So you should be having tons of dates that cost you nothing. The next level of date should be a coffee, tea, smoothie, or walk would be great. If you have no money, I don't think you should hide that. Like, I don't think you should pretend like you do, because that doesn't turn out great in the end. So I think that should be upfront. And then either somebody who does have money but doesn't mind that you don't, or someone who also doesn't have money will understand and be glad for the honesty. But there are tons of dates you can do, and I recommend you do, that don't cost any money, like walks on the beach, walks in the park, playing a game in the park. There are many cafes you can go to and just have a tea or a coffee and hang out for a while. There's lots of very inexpensive. There's also free events all over, especially if you're in New York City, tons of free events. So you do not need money to date. Many, 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 many people who don't have money have found love and lived happily ever after. And many, many people with a lot of money have a hell of a time dating and don't find love. So let's not blame the money. What's your response to people who tell you they need to get their lives in order before they go after love? Love that question. Great. I think that you do need to get your life together before you go after love. I do think that. But I have some caveats, because some people really do get their lives together and then they still say they have to get their lives together, right? There's always a reason to keep delaying going for love, which then I would interpret as fear. not good sense. But let me be specific what I mean when I say get your life together as a prerequisite to finding love. You can date casually, by the way. You can have fun, you can grow, you can learn, you can have good sex, all of that, no problem. While your life is not together, not a problem. I'm not saying opt out completely, but when you're looking for that last love of your life, like your soulmate, your one for the rest of the long haul, I would first make sure you have detoxed your past relationships so the past is really in the past, number one. Number two, done at least the basic work to turn your childhood and early life traumas into lessons, not deep triggerable pain, which means therapy, coaching, or some spiritual work, right? Um, and I would ask you to have the basics of your areas of life in integrity for you. So your health being managed, your bad habits being managed, your money being managed. Doesn't mean it has to be at some crazy level of success by society standards. It means it has to be working for you, because the confidence that gives you to then attract the caliber of person that you want is really important. So I'm not prescribing how your life should look together. Um, or in order. But if you're like massively in debt and you're in a nervous breakdown, or you're having mental health issues that are not handled, or an addiction that's not handled, or you're super unhealthy, that should be the first priority for you. Stabilizing yourself, your self-love, your self-care, because love for another really builds on your love for yourself and your ability to care for yourself. So that's the right order of operations, in my opinion, for finding the love of your life. Hope that's empowering and not disappointing, or yeah, disappointing. Okay. Last chance, or we wrap up.
One more question I have.
Yes. Great.
So what about couples or people over 70 and maybe some unique issues? What if you want a serious relationship? You don't necessarily want to move in with the person.
Ooh.
Um, or maybe you're a little cynical about believing in one love for your life, but
Mm,
doesn't preclude you from believing in a long-term relationship.
right. Just hypothetically. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Here's what I found from talking to thousands of people about dating over 50 and over 70. There's a group of people who wants to get married again and live happily ever after with a long-term partner. That's what they want. That's what they see. That's what they want. That is what they want. That's what they want. That's their vision. That's what's locked in. And then there are people who are like what you just described, who are like, I'm good. Like I want a companion, but I don't need to ever get married again. I don't necessarily need to move in together. I don't know. I just want to be with someone, right? Like I want to date. I really want to date. I'm not looking for a serious long-term committed relationship, or I am looking for a serious long-term relationship, but I'm not looking for marriage. That person exists across all genders. It's just that you have to find out within 3 dates if your person is that person or not. And that starts with you telling them who you are. This is what, and that's why it's like, it's people think everyone's just like, yes, I'm looking for long term. Everybody just lies, right? And doesn't even think about it. So I'm asking you all to start the trend of really thinking, well, like really what's true for you. And if right now you just want to have fun and see what's out there, do that and do it on purpose and tell people that's what you're doing. And if you're like, I want long-term companionship, but not marriage, do that. Because you'll find the person who's like, thank God. I mean, I have so many women clients who are like, I don't want to get married again. I don't even want to move in. I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. Right? Of course, if you exist, they exist. Right? But if you're not honest, then you're gonna end up with someone who doesn't want cats, right? Like who is disappointed. So all of that is just bolsters my argument that the first 3 dates are for telling, first of all, figuring out your truth, and then revealing it to someone else and really lovingly inviting them to do the same. Does that answer that?
Yes, it does. Thank you very
So
much.
whatever
Excellent.
your truth is, it's okay, right? Not telling the truth is where we get into trouble. Right? It's like that's where we get into trouble because we disappoint people and then they get mad at us. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and people of all genders, I have had such a good time with you. Thank you for listening so quietly, so unobtrusively. If you want to find me, lauriegerber.com, you can ask me other questions if they were too private. If you want to watch the free webinar, lovely Matt just put the link again into the chat. And I appreciate your desire to learn in the middle of the day on a Thursday. It just gives me hope for humanity. Keep it up. Keep it up. Thank
Yes,
you.